Good morning, long ball number one here on Wednesday, July 16th, with the afterglow of the Club World Cup still lingering upon us. Want to bring up what we might change to the reformatted Giant Club World Cup tournament. It was on American shores, expanded from 8 teams to 32 teams. There were some fun things, some not so fun things. Some of the standout parts of the tournament was trying to placate the European audience by playing the biggest games right in the middle of the hottest part of the days, grasping load over turf, and in just generally players being really tired because they had to play a whole giant tournament after already playing a season. But in this segment, I want to talk about what could we adjust to it if it looks like they're going to keep doing it. This is definitely a FIFA, a big thing in the FIFA agenda, shall you say. And I was trying to think of, as it is a 32-team tournament, how could you kind of polish the rough edges of this tournament? And I think the first thing is tired soccer isn't peak soccer. So if you want this tournament to truly be like the peak of the game, because I mean, it was kind of laughable, right, that Chelsea world champions on the back of the shirt didn't 100% feel right. But my proposal to change it, if in 2029, the next version of this, if they do the 4 years and they remain with the 32-team tournament, would be perhaps do away with the Nations League in that FIFA calendar year. There's 5 international tournament or 5 international breaks scheduled for 2029 for a Nations League and a competition such as that globally. My thought is perhaps condense those 5 windows into one and use the Club World Cup tournament for those international breaks rather than adding a whole new tournament. So you'd still get your big 32-team tournament, but you wouldn't be necessarily adding games. What do you think of that?
I like it. I think there's got to be some way to shoehorn these games in. And, as we know, there's just not enough time in the calendar for all the games that they want to fit in. Like you mentioned, I don't think Club World Cup is going anywhere at this point. Infantino's kind of made it a flagship project, if you will, and kind of stake his claim as, this is going to happen and we're going to push forward come hell or high water. And so there really just has to be a way to tweak it to get it right. Because, it just didn't feel like a true Club World Cup championship. You mentioned Chelsea coming away with the trophy. It's interesting, right? Because in a year, do we look back and say, okay, Chelsea actually is maybe the best team in the world right now? Shock result over PSG. I don't think any of us would have seen that coming. But just in terms of the roster construction for a lot of these clubs, it felt kind of like a bait and switch. Like, yes, you're watching Manchester City, but you're not watching Manchester City, So I think finding a way to put it in the middle of the calendar rather than in the summer. These guys just need time off. You can't play soccer year round and expect that peak competition. There has to be a way. I think Nations League kind of doing away with that, or potentially moving that to more of a youth side tournament, a U21, U18, get some of those younger next generation guys involved in that, freeing up the senior level, top level, if you will, players to go ahead and play in the Club World Cup. What do you think about that?
That's not a bad idea at all. It's definitely thinking out of the box, gives the senior players a little bit of a respite, but ultimately I don't think that's what they're shooting for with it. I don't think that's the intention, is to create a new underage tournament. But I hear
Nations League, they floated the idea and they wanted to kind of revamp the international scene between those major tournaments, right? And now it's just, you almost run into a situation where you have to pick one or the other. You can't have these guys playing, like I said, year round. It's just too many games and they fall apart. And I think you mentioned already here, tired soccer is not entertaining soccer. And you're almost doing more harm than good by throwing these guys out there. say give it your all in the heat of the summer in the Midwest, in America. It's not a recipe for an entertaining tournament in the way that Infantino and FIFA really want it to be.
Scred getting into the comments here this morning, and I'm going to open this up to everybody. If you're tuned in for the first time, this is an interactive show. Please join this conversation here. And Scred saying it's not end of season for everyone. Maybe we shouldn't just cater to the Europeans. And while, it is end of season for a bulk of them, like you said, it's Europeans, I definitely agree with you there for catering to the playing times. One of the concerns looking at next year for the World Cup, the actual truly biggest tournament in the world, is the grass over turf, which is insane that they put this much money, time, and effort into it and not realize that that's a bad idea. And then the 3:00 start times. If the games truly are the biggest and best in the world, I feel like the Europeans would, stay up late or wake up early to watch those games if they truly are the best games there are. I mean, I can understand maybe doing it for this tournament because no one really knew what it was going to be, but the World Cup is the World Cup. And I don't think you necessarily need to make the World Cup final played in blazing 3:00 sun just so that the Europeans can have it at tea time. That's too much. And I really do hope that is a change that comes before next year. Shout out to, Mr. Hunt in the comments, one of our MK Ultras, always chiming in on both the show and in the Morning Kicker on Discord. U.S. and Western fans have to watch games at 2 a.m. anyway. And yeah, Americans do it to watch things overseas. And I know the South Americans definitely stay up and watch all hours of the day and night to watch their favorite players play abroad. So it shouldn't be kowtowed in the World Cup. I can kind of understand this. And just one final note before we move on from the Club World Cup is I think if it stays as it is, I think it can get better and a little bit more legitimized because this first iteration kind of sprung up. I wouldn't say that there was like a whole 4-year buildup of excitement. A lot of people didn't even know what it was until a couple months ago. But if you legitimize, so the more it goes on, the teams that are entered into it, like come to a more of a natural, like if the teams deserving, not just plucked like guest teams, like if they truly are the last 4 years champions of their confederation, get the berth into it and whatnot. So I am somewhat hopeful that with more time and it being the second iteration of the big, there'll be more of a natural, organic selection to the teams.
A little bit more structure and legitimacy, I would say. Are we truly looking for the best clubs in the world to compete in this thing? That's what I would like to see. And yeah, I think you're right. A little bit more runway, a little bit more structure, hopefully getting things, back to where it just feels like we are seeing the best from around the world compete at the club level.
One of my favorite commenters, best tagline name, a homeless shoe. If we can wake up at midnight for games, so can other countries. Couldn't agree more.